Hi, everybody. I'm Nelson McDaniel, and I'm here today with Dr. Mark Cole from Gardner-Webb University. He is the Director of Bands, and we're here to talk about everybody's favorite subject this time of year, and that is marching band. And we're going to give you a couple of helpful hints just to help you not only prepare for marching band, but actually get you through the whole season of marching band so that you can not only survive it, but thrive during it. One of the first things we'd like to talk about is what you need to do as far as your music is concerned. Mark, what would you say is the most important thing everybody needs to think about there?
Well, one of the things that we typically see as students come into the marching band process early on is they kind of took the summer off. We see some of that. We see some more dedicated students that don't do that. But one of the things that's going to be a trendsetter for later on down the road is how you have stayed on your instrument. Musical practice should be one of those things that happens all the time. And I know it's really tempting to be able to take that summer vacation and go somewhere and not have to worry about that. But because marching band is such a physically demanding activity, both from the musical side and the physical side, when you let one side of that go, then you're constantly having to think to restructure that while you're trying to worry about something else. So we really encourage that the fundamentals stay in place. You're constantly practicing all the stuff that you always do, scales and repertoire and etudes, and just continue to keep your musical skills as sharp as you possibly can make them.
All right, and obviously with marching band, you have to get used to playing in a marching position, so you're not sitting on the couch playing your euphonium.
As comfortable as that might be, the best thing to get prepared for the rigors of marching band is that you do all of your practice in the position that you would normally do when you're marching, which is standing up straight. There's a lot of things having to do with posture and shoulder positions and hand positions, and it's just good to practice all those early on.
And also even with movement.
Mm-hmm. In fact, most of the warm-up exercises that we do when we get into the season will not just involve standing around in a circle or a block. It's actually going to be, one-step movements, things like that. There's certain drills that we do in blocks and circles where the feet have to keep moving and they have to think pulse and timing while they're actually playing.
And obviously, the biggest thing that you need to do is know your part inside and out, not only your part, but how it fits within the entire ensemble.
All the musicians that I know that have gone on to become very successful have kind of come back and told me one of the things they learned the most about all of their early days in ensembles, whether it's marching band, concert band, is not just how to play the notes and rest, or not how to finger their instrument. It's got a lot to do with knowing what's going on around you. Most of your great concert bands, your great symphony orchestras, great ensembles, musical ensembles of any kind, are when the players are so aware of how they fit into the larger scheme of things and what's happening around them and how they communicate and connect with those things. And that's actually super important on the field. And think about that process when you're standing on a football field, which is 100 yards long. Right? It gets to be pretty tricky.
Absolutely. In addition to the musical aspect of marching band, you also have the physical addition. Therefore, you have to prepare yourself physically for all the rigors of the season. That's going to involve stretching and conditioning. And what other elements would you suggest that they focus on?
Well, if you remember anything about your days in school when you had PE class, the things that have been around in those kinds of things are still around to this day. They have you do a lot of stretching, which is taking your large muscle groups, legs, arms, shoulders, chest muscles, things like that, and making sure that they're as flexible and pliable as possible. Because there's a lot of moving around. Marching band today is not just moving your feet under the music. There's a lot of body things that go onto the visual side of that. In addition to the stretching, is an awful lot of aerobic stuff. So we actually do have some running and things that we do, because some of the things we march are faster paced now than the good old days. Always making sure you keep the heart rate at a norm, that you can do that your oxygen uptake is like it should be.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to actually go do some aerobic activity and then immediately move into trying to play your instrument just to see what that's going to feel.
That's a really good litmus test for knowing what that's like to become. You're talking about most marching band shows are anywhere between 8 and 13 minutes. And of course, the longer you go, the more that you're going to be expected to do. We were talking to some people that are in the athletic department about this. And I said, if you want to equate that playing an instrument while being aerobically conditioned to something in the athletic vein, try taking the football team and putting them in the stadium, have them do stadium runs up and down there while they're blowing up balloons. We'll get a kind of an idea of what that's like.
Right. In addition to just doing the physical activity to prepare yourself, we would need to look at hydrating yourself, diet, and to make sure you stay healthy during the whole thing and you have the energy to get through those long rehearsals in the heat. So the mental aspect of music is a big deal even in any sort of performance situation. But when you are throwing in the elements of moving around, remembering your spot, remembering your music, remembering how it all fits. There's a mental aspect that has to come into play, but that shows up in places other than on the field, doesn't it?
We take the commitment idea into marching band very seriously. About all the things that go into a typical marching band show. Most marching band shows these days are all memorized. So they've taken this 8 to 13 minute production and it's in their head. So there's a lot of hard work involved in that. And then you add the structure of where you are on the football field, right? And it's all done by a little coordinate grid that we write on, which is not on the field. You don't see it there. You just have to imagine that. Plus the body movement, plus all the other coordination of things that have to happen at the same time. Some kind of sense of commitment to something that's greater than you as an individual. Those things don't go very well. Your rehearsals get very tedious. Your product at the end doesn't come out quite like you probably want it.
Right, and so that commitment, that's not just to doing your part, but also committing to the overall ensemble, that you're going to be there when it's time to be there. You're going to be responsible for all those things that you have to be responsible for.
Yeah. So commitment, attitude is another thing. It's really, really tough when rehearsals get very tedious and very long and very hot. And it's really easy just to say, I'm over this, I'm tired of this, and then walking off, get past all that, pushing past when you don't feel well, pushing past the temperature, pushing past being thirsty, for thinking that the product at the end is going to be great because of this, is what we really strive to kind of teach and look for in the people that come to our program.
It really is a big family.
It's a very big family. Our students tend to be very, very good about looking out for one another. They see a lot of each other outside of the marching band venue too, and during classes and at meals and things like that. So they have a lot of opportunity to really kind of get to know each other.
Excellent. One of the key elements of making sure everyone, you, the other students, and the director have a good time with the marching band season is communication. It can actually impact the entire process of putting together a show.
I think if there's any one quality that needs to be insisted upon on every member out there is the ability to communicate both up and down the whole chain of command in the band.
So always checking schedules, always answering emails, especially if there's a change in schedule.
Always. Information about the band is usually done as a group-wide email, right, that goes through our school email system so they know that they have it. And then they're expected to answer back and make sure that they know they received everything they need to know.
Never should you say, I didn't hear about that, because you should be making sure you get all the information and delivering all the information that's important for you to get to your director and your section leaders. Especially for new marchers, or even for those that have been doing it for years, you run into situations where individual responsibility is a huge part of it. And it's not just knowing your music, it's not just knowing where you're going on the field, but even off the field, getting to the field. There are lots of things that come into play that you have to be responsible for. What are some of those things that you run into?
Prior to every rehearsal, after every rehearsal, there's tons of things that have to be taken care of just in any physical and element type of thing. What you wear for shoes and what you wear for on your head and what you wear for sunscreen and things. All those kinds of things are things that every individual has to be able to take accountability for themselves. And we ask them, if you take a look at any kind of outdoor activity where you're exposed to the sun like this, we want to make sure that sunscreen is an important thing so nobody goes out there has skin problems later on. Most of the heat dissipates from the top of your head. We want to make sure that we keep something keeping the sun from burning down on your scalp. Do gym shorts and light water absorbing t-shirts to make sure that they're comfortable through that and they don't end up overheating that way. You completely forbid flip-flops. It's always tennis shoes and socks, not only for hygiene and safety, but the fact that we do move around an awful lot of large equipment, and the last thing we want to do is drop, a 500-pound bass drum like on somebody's foot while they're wearing open-toed shoes. That would end up being a problem.
Not to mention you need the traction when you're moving around on the field. You do some very athletic moves in the process.
That's true, and that all comes into what we're asking somebody to be personally responsible for too.
Excellent. To make sure everything is together so you're not having to look, where's my music, where's my coordinates, where's my sunscreen, where's my water bottle. Keep everything together so you always know where it is.
You have your water coolers that you bring out there with you to make sure that you can stay hydrated. And you have your music and you have your dot book, which is where all your coordinates are written down. Put that on the sideline when you're doing something else. Take all the horns and line them up a certain way. All the water bottles are exactly a certain way, adjusted by height or whatever you want to do. And it also makes it really easy for you to be able to get back and forth too.
Always keep in mind that you're responsible for how you enjoy marching band season and what you get out of it. It's not up to the director to make sure you have a good time. It's up to you to make sure you learn and have a good time. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, you can contact us at our links below, and you can talk directly to me, and I'll answer any questions. Or if you want to get in touch with Dr. Cole directly, you can.
Please go to the university website. That's www.gardner-webb.edu. If you look at the School of Performing and Visual Arts page, there you'll find a list of ensembles. One of those ensembles is the Marching Bulldogs, and all of my contact information is there. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So please like, subscribe, share, and especially comment so we can know if you enjoyed and got anything out of this content. Thanks.